Hello? Does that work? Can you guys hear me if I just talk like this? Is that good? Well, it's great to be here. Let's see. Who's heard of PhoneSoap before this moment? Okay, so a good number of you. How many of you heard of it via Shark Tank? Okay, so a good number. We started this here, actually on this stage, and I'll show you a clip here in just a little minute. But how many of you guys have smartphones with a touch screen? Everybody, right? Okay, now keep your hands up. How many of you use that phone in the bathroom? All right, so almost the same number, right? So we were actually on this stage for the BYU idea pitch competition. Do they still do that? The idea pitch? Big idea pitch. Doing that, we asked that question. There's maybe a few people that admitted to the fact that they used their phone in the bathroom, but now we're a lot more honest here, which is good. And I'm going to try to switch this over to my computer. You can do both. Oh yeah, so it's good. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, PhoneSoap is a cell phone charger that cleans your phone while it charges. And the whole concept for the idea, and actually the whole product itself, was developed here while myself and Dan were students here at BYU. And so my goal tonight, this afternoon, for this presentation is to tell you the story, but hopefully to inspire you and help you if like entrepreneurship wasn't your plan, because it wasn't my plan. And there's lots of things that happened to me along the way that helped get us to where we are now. And you know, I think those things are interesting. Hopefully they're helpful to you. So this video, I'm just going to play a couple seconds of it, but this is in the Wilkinson Center in the theater, and this is the first time I was on stage pitching the idea, and this was at the Student Innovator competition. So let's see how I did.
Can we be here? If you have a phone, go ahead and take it out. Let's see how many phones we got, guys. Hold up. All right, this is the question. What's dirtier? A public toilet or your cell phone? Well, ACC gets wider than all those reports saying that your phone has 18 times more harmful bacteria on it than the handle in a public restroom. And that's besides the flu, they found staph, E. coli.
All right, so that's pretty gross, right? There we go. Oh, it's not doing it, is it? Hopefully that pulls up. So anyways, can you guys see that okay? So that is the first PhoneSoap ever. And how it got started is, Dan here, he was in the business school doing business, and I was doing exercise science. And I was working in a cancer research lab on campus, and Dan called me one day and he asked me, well, he told me about this article, basically, that said, the average cell phone has 18 times more harmful bacteria than a public restroom on it. And I thought that was crazy. There's no way that could be true. And so being in a lab on campus, I swabbed every dirty surface I could find. And I found out that my phone was by far the dirtiest thing that I could find anywhere. And that's where the idea was born, out of that problem, which is, that was in 2010. And so that was 3 years since the iPhone was released. And we were just kind of understanding, you know, how much we touch our phones. We touch our phones a lot, and we touch our faces a lot. And there's an inherent, you know, problem in touching something that's full of bacteria and then touching your face so often. So so I was in a lab, and there's this problem. So what was the solution? What was a good solution to this problem? And the very first solution that we thought of was why not you just use a wet wipe on your phone, right? And we thought, well, that's fine. The idea is dead. But as we did a little bit more research, we found that it's not really effective because you'd have to, rub down your phone with alcohol for 10 minutes to kill all the bacteria, and that's just too long. No one's going to rub down their phone for that long. One, and two, wet wipes on the phone and alcohol on the screen, it makes it all smudgy, and people don't like that. People like to have clean screens. So we went about it a different way, and in the laboratory that I was working in on campus here at BYU, we use really large ultraviolet lights to sanitize the surfaces where we do cell cultures. And so it's a proven technology that I knew about through working in the lab, and I knew it was really good at killing bacteria. So Dan and I got together, and we thought about, we use our phones all day, but when's the only time that we don't use our phones? It's at night, or when we charge it. We usually don't use our phones while they're charging up or at night while we sleep. So we took those two ideas, the fact that everybody has a phone, everybody charges their phone, and the UV killing potential, and combined them together into this really beautiful box made out of wood, actually, foil, and that's a UV light in there, just one. And this was the very first phone soap we ever made. And I like to show this because I was working in a laboratory on campus getting ready to take the MCAT, and I don't know what, Dan and I every year participated in the business plan competition, and I think it's called something different now. It's what's it called, the Miller Business Model Competition. So we would do that every year as students, and it's a really fun competition. I actually encourage everybody in this room to do it no matter what major you're in, because you get to meet some really great people, really great mentors here at BYU. You get to form really cool teams with different people that you might not have associated with otherwise on campus. So Dan and I did that a couple years, but our last year, PhoneSoap was our idea based on the conversation we had, and this is the product that we built. So the idea pitch well, it didn't happen yet. The first thing was the Student Innovator of the Year competition. Do they have this one still too? Yeah. Okay. So we did this one, and this was the first money that we won. We didn't actually win the competition, but we won some money for doing that, and that led us to the idea pitch competition, and I think this is neat. Let me show you right here. Does this room look familiar to anybody? So Dan and I actually stood here like 5 years ago and gave our pitch to this auditorium. So I'm just going to play a couple seconds of it. We talk really fast because I think we're supposed to do it really fast. It's like a speed pitch. Okay, well, you really can't understand it, so let's go back here. And we didn't win that competition either, but there was, the audience voted on what their favorite, via text messaging, what their favorite idea was, pitch was, and that's our bar right there. So we were really proud of that at the time. Even though we didn't win, we won a little bit of money to bring us to the next step. So what I'm trying to illustrate here is that we just had an idea, right? We didn't know if it was even a good idea. It was just an idea. We knew the technology was sound, and we built like the worst prototype ever, ugliest thing you could show anybody. And that was how this got started. And we just stood in front of people and told them about our idea and asked them if it was a good one or not. And we got their feedback. And along the way, through these great competitions at BYU, we were able to win a little bit of money and move it to the next step. And so what was the next step after these competitions? We did the business plan competition at BYU. We didn't win, but we won a little bit of money. We went on to be invited to the Rice business plan competition, which is the largest business plan competition in the States, I think. And we didn't win that either, but we also we won for best marketing. And so we got a little bit of money there. And we used that money to build our very first working prototype of the PhoneSoap, and it looks like this. And it looks all beat up now. I took this earlier today, but it looked nicer when we first made it. And we took this prototype, and what happened was we got to these competitions with this prototype, and basically we hit a roadblock, which was, okay, you've got a nice pitch, you've got a good marketing plan, you've got a good business plan, and you've got a product that works and doesn't look terrible, but is anybody going to buy it? Nobody knows if anybody's going to buy it or not. So about that time, it was 2012, and there's a website that got started a couple years before that and was becoming more and more popular. It's called Kickstarter. Have you guys heard of Kickstarter before? How many people have launched a product on Kickstarter? Anybody in this room done a product on Kickstarter? Got one up there? Awesome. So we took these baby steps to get a product and to get our business plan together. But now it's time to figure out if anyone's going to buy that, which is the ultimate test of whether something's going to work or not. So we did a video and we put it on Kickstarter. And for those of you who don't know, Kickstarter is a crowdfunding website where you demonstrate your product and people pledge money to you if they want your product or they'd like to see it become a reality. And then you can take that money and use it to actually build the product that you've demonstrated. And so we did that in 2012, and we raised $63,000 on Kickstarter in 30 days. And there's been projects that have done a lot more than that, but at the time in 2012, that was a significant amount. And it was a new thing that was happening, and it really gave us a lot of money to actually build our product. And I'll just show you the video real quick of this is the video that Dan put together to kind of sell our product.
Cell phones, just like the one you have, swab them for germs and find out what's living there. The results are in.
A recent study showed 1 in 6 mobile phones have fecal matter on them. People are on their cell phones texting, tweeting, emailing before they even leave the stall.
They found fecal strep again. There's fecal strep on my cell phone. Yeah.
More than half of Americans use the phone in the loop. Cell phones are the newest control-like orders. Up to 1 in 5 Americans have dropped their phone from toilet. Like fecal matter on their cell phone.
So that scared a bunch of people.
Kickstarter, my name is Dan Marks, co-founder of PhoneSoap. Look, we love our phones, and we use them all the
So for those of you who don't know, then we went on to demonstrate the problem. And then we ended the video showing the solution, basically. So that's Kickstarter, for those of you who don't know. And we raised $63,000, and so that was kind of our proof. After Kickstarter, we were approached by several people wanting to invest in the idea in the company, and we also sought out investment. We did that here in Utah, in Las Vegas, and in Texas. And so we courted and were courted by several investors and groups, and it's because we were able to sell our product and have people commit to, basically purchase it. So $63,000 in 30 days was a big deal, and we were able to use that to go on and raise some money to actually start the company and not just have a product. So, but then we had our next problem, which is none of us had built a product before, and we didn't know how or where to build it. And that was probably the greatest learning experience we've ever had. This is a prototype of what is our flagship product now. This is our very first version of it after the tooling, and I'll show you other iterations of it. But what happened at that point was Dan had graduated. He graduated in 2010, and he went to work for Zappos.com. Doing digital marketing for them. And then he got recruited by American Eagle Outfitters to run their digital marketing out in San Francisco. And so kind of while Dan was was working in corporate and getting his digital marketing chops, I was trying to figure out how to make a product here in the United States, over in China, and it ended up being something that was, pretty daunting. So we had money that we raised. We told people we were going to make a product, so now we had to make it. And it was an interesting experience. What we ended up doing was leveraging the great resources that are here in this area, in Provo. There's a lot of great businessmen here that are willing to volunteer their time to help you out. So basically what we did is we found other people in the area that had manufactured products that were similar, and we asked them where they make their products, how they make them. We asked them to make introductions for us. And so we ended up being introduced to lots of different factories and lots of different manufacturers, and we met with them, and we ended up picking one that fit us the best. But we only were able to move into production through the resources here on campus and in the community, the people who had already done what we were trying to do. And so looking back, kind of the best thing that I think that I learned from this experience, at least so far, is that it's really important to meet people and ask for advice and try to learn as much as possible from people who have already done what you're trying to do. And that saved us a bunch of time and money, and we still made mistakes, but I think we made a lot less of them just because we talked to so many people who had done what we were trying to do. So I'm really grateful for BYU and for this tight community of entrepreneurs here in this valley that helped us even make a product. And they helped us in a lot of ways with marketing and just besides manufacturing, but also in raising money, et cetera, et cetera. And they're really willing to help you out. And so if you're trying to create an idea or move an idea forward and you just don't know what to do, my best advice would be to approach somebody who's done already what you're trying to do. And I think that that was the most important thing for us moving PhoneSoap forward. So here's what it ended up looking like, kind of like a bar of soap. It's appropriate. And here's kind of the iterations. There's the first one that we did, and then we did a 3D print that was a failure. We made another one, and we tooled up this version. And we ended up with this design right here, which is what sold over 100,000 units now since we started. So we built this product, and we sent it out to all of the people on Kickstarter who had pre-ordered one, and now we had the task of growing the business. So what we did, and what Dan's really good at, is digital marketing. So what we were able to do initially on the internet was the internet is tracking you wherever you go, in case you didn't already know this. And the internet knows a lot about your behavior and what you like and what you don't like, especially if you participate in any form of social media. So what we were able to do is we were able to target specifically people who would be interested in the product that we were selling. And we were able to put advertisements specifically geared towards that person in front of their face. And we were able to convert a lot of those people into our customers, and they would purchase online. But beyond that, we really leveraged our specific product is a very good inform and sell product. So a lot of people don't really know they need it until we tell them that they do. And so we leveraged a lot of news organizations, and we went out and tried to get on TV and in front of as many people as possible to have them tell the story, and it resonates with a lot of people. And so, the Today Show, The View, Wired, Mashable, a lot of these TV shows, we were able to get on there and kind of build our brand. And we were able to build it to a point where we gained the interest of a big box retailer, Staples, and this was our first mistake, big mistake, I think. I mean, we made lots of little ones, but this was our first thing that didn't go so well. So Staples came to us and they said, okay, it's holiday. We want to push your product out as a big holiday product. We're going to give you the whole end cap in the store, And we're going to build these displays, and we're going to have this video that's going to run, and people are going to see it, and they're going to buy a ton of units. And we thought that was a good idea. And this little video played while just in the store, and hopefully to attract their attention. So, but here's the thing that they did was they ordered 4,000 units, which for us was our biggest order. It was a ton of units, a ton of money. And so we built it, we sent it to them, and they started selling in a few stores. And they said, it's going great, it's awesome. We're going to order 4 times that many, and we're going to put it in all of our stores. And so what we basically had to do was we took a risk, which looking back wasn't a good risk, and we used all of our money to build these displays for Staples, and all of our money to build a ton of product to give to them. So we did that, and this little video didn't work, and they didn't actually sell a whole lot. And what happens when you put product into a big box retailer and it doesn't sell a whole lot is they want to send it back, and they want to not buy any more from you. And so what happened is we got to a point where we spent all of our money on product that was just sitting in the warehouse. Not only that, but product that we had already sold and received money for was being sent back to us by Staples. So, and we heard that a lot, going through talking to mentors, is be careful of big box, they can eat you alive. And we're like, what does that mean? How are they going to eat us alive? Aren't they just going to buy our product and sell it to other people? And this is from, exercise science major who didn't know anything about business, still doesn't probably, but, we've learned a lot. And so this is probably why they say be careful about, how exposed you become, through various opportunities. Previously, we had just been selling online, and so, we would invest money into digital marketing, but only if it was returning positively. And so that was a lot easier for us to invest in, but this was a big investment into basically a big risk. We didn't know if it was going to sell, and it didn't do very well for us. So about that same time, we got, probably actually ironically, because of Staples, I think that we then got the interest of another opportunity, which was Shark Tank. And Shark Tank actually approached us and asked us to apply. They had seen kind of the marketing that we had done. We'd been on a lot of national television shows, and we did a good job kind of telling the story and pitching the product. And they liked that, so they asked us to apply. So they've got a lot of assistant producers there, and they're always looking out for new products. And every assistant producer picks 2 products to kind of as their products to kind of bring in, besides all of the people who apply for Shark Tank through. Has anybody applied to be on Shark Tank or gone through? They've had a thing at BYU where you allow them to come pitch. Has anybody done that in this room? Okay, so anyways, we got approached and we submitted a video application, and they liked what we did. And so we got invited to meet with producers again over the course of a couple months, and eventually we were invited to fly out to Los Angeles and film the show. And so a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of businesses get invited out to film, and not everybody that films gets a deal, obviously. You guys have seen the show? How many people have seen the show in this room? So a lot of you guys watch it. That's cool. So they invite us out, and a lot of people pitch, but not a lot of people air. And of the people that that get deals versus not get deals, it's about 50-50. So it's really we just went, with our fingers crossed. And we filmed in June, and we didn't air until the following January. So actually, we were really lucky to air, but we didn't air until 6 months after we had filmed the Shark Tank, and we were sitting on a ton of product from Staples. And so if it wasn't for our airing on Shark Tank, I don't know really where we'd be. Maybe out of business. But just because of all the product we ordered for Staples. But we did air on Shark Tank, and we did do really well, and we were able to sell through all of our inventory in just a few days. And that was really great. And I think I pulled up the clip. Here's a clip real quick for you guys at the end of our episode.
sharks are out. Mark Cuban has offered $300,000 for 20% of their phone cleansing device, PhoneSoap. But Lori wants in on the action.
You have his offer, but you haven't heard mine.
Well, remember what happened last time?
So, I saw the Dr. Oz that was talking about what's on phones, right? Pretty scary. I've sold millions in cell phone cases, and I've sold millions in sponge sanitizers that look kind of like yours. So I get that this is a great concept. I would like to make you an offer of $300,000 at 15% because I want to take this unit, put it on QVC, put it in my show, and sell hundreds of thousands of dollars in it like that.
If you want to go consumer, QVC is the destination. More power to you. I like that.
No, not just QVC. Retail, all retail.
You want to go retail? We all have retail connections. But again, I see this more as a commercial product. Why? Because we can control our own destiny. Instead of putting it out there and waiting for the phone to ring, hoping that people walk to the store, you can charge a premium for it. It sends the message to everybody who walks into those doctor's offices that you need one. Right? Doctors using it, it must be smart.
I
So
say
that's
do
why I
it
say
all, guys. I mean, why just do doctor's offices?
it's tough to do all.
Oh, no, it's not. I do it all the
Yeah, but Lori, when
time.
was the last time you created a sales force that went out and sold a commercial product into a commercial organization?
You don't know what I do. I have over 500 products in
Right,
17
you have a
years.
sales force that's going on, knocking on doors all the time.
You know what? We do.
Right. Wes, what do you know?
Lori came in at 15% and you're at 20. Is there,
No. You'll be part of our entourage. There's a difference between building a company and just selling a product.
I wouldn't have done 40 million almost in all my Shark Tank products if I didn't have a great sales force.
And that sales force is television time on QVC.
It's not, Mark. It's not fair to say that.
we came in at 7.5%, 15% is half evaluation, 20 is even more than that. If we could meet halfway,
I'll go to 10 if you take my offer right now.
deal.
So if you watch the actual episode, at the end, Dan does a horse kick as he walks out of the room. So you should watch it. So that was probably the worst, best thing I ever did. It was exciting to be on the show, and there's a lot of emotions that went into preparing for that and then afterwards. But the bottom line was that it ended up being a big deal for our company and exposed the brand. A lot of you wouldn't have even heard of PhoneSoap if it wasn't for Shark Tank. And it ended up making our brand recognizable and opened up a lot of opportunities to us. And one of those, obviously, that Mark and Lori were arguing about whether she has a sales force or not. And one of her main things that Mark said was QVC, and it's true. That's one of the main things. So there's Dan and Lori hanging out at QVC. And Lori takes, there's Dan again, hanging out on set. And so QVC, do you guys know what QVC is? Like, it's a television show where they just sell stuff all day, and people watch it and they phone in and buy things. So it's a really great sales channel for our product specifically because our product is an inform and sell product. So Dan and Lori go on air, and they sell about 1,500 units a minute on QVC, and that's about $60,000 a minute, which is a lot of product to move in a short amount of time. And in order to even be able to do that, we had to rethink and kind of relearn all of our manufacturing. Our previous manufacturer didn't have enough capacity. So right after Shark Tank, there was a good 4 months where we didn't have any product to sell, which is a really bad spot to be in. And we were lucky that when we came back online selling, that our customers were still around and still wanting our product. But we were able to remanufacture the PhoneSoap to fit larger phones. We got a cheaper price on our manufacturing, a better partner. We were able to produce a lot more in a short amount of time, which allows us to do well on this channel. And so this was this last year, which was really good, and this year as well. We're continuing on. But QVC makes up about 40% of what we do, and the rest is still online because of the great job that Dan does in digital marketing, and we've got a recognizable brand now, and that's a lot of units to sell. And it's kind of weird for me to look back, and even as I was preparing these slides, to remember when I was in the garage, like building this stupid box, and it looks so bad. It's so funny to look at, but by kind of like baby steps, just bit by bit, we were learning, and every time we would hit a roadblock, we'd just try to find out who knew how to overcome it, and we would learn from them, and then we'd try it ourselves. And that's kind of been our whole experience in growing the business, which is just trial and error, but trying to learn as much from other people who had already been there. And for me personally, like was already mentioned, I was preparing for the MCAT. I was ready to go to medical school, and I got to this point where we were raising money, and someone that we really liked was willing to invest, and we wanted to partner with them, and I had to do this full time or nothing would happen at all. And I got to the point where I had to decide between the two, and I decided that if I did medical school, I could never try to see if this could be anything. And so I decided to do this because I could try this, and if it fails, I could always go back to medical school. And so that was my decision that I made personally, and at the end of my life, I guess I'll decide whether it was good or not. But at least right now, I really enjoy all the things that I'm learning, and all the things that I'm learning just in practice. I don't think that I would be able to learn all these things without having had, tried to do them. So I was really grateful for the opportunity in a big way because of BYU and because of this community that you're all a part of. The Rollins Center and all of the great mentors that we had on campus. And now we're kind of in a new stage of our business where we're coming out with new products. We've got a version that now cleans tablets that we've got a lot of people have pre-ordered that, and that'll ship out in the next 2 months. And a lot of people are excited for that. And we've also been working with hospitals now who they're starting to use, all of their doctors and all of their nurses use cell phones, and they use them sometimes when they're not supposed to and where they're not supposed to. And so we've developed with hospitals devices that can quickly clean and sanitize, their phones and their tablets in that environment. And that's a whole different vertical for us, and we're excited to start that this year, and these products for the hospitals will finish up in the next couple months. So it's been it's been a long journey, probably from start to finish, from the very first conversation. It was in 2010, and now it's 2006. So it's taken a couple of years, but a lot has happened relatively quickly, and a lot of it's blessings, a lot of it's luck, and a lot of it's just paying attention to people around us and being willing to fail, being willing to make mistakes, and to have people tell us we're wrong and that it's not a good idea, and to change our idea and make it better. And that's been really valuable to us. So that was my presentation. I hope that it was helpful to somebody who's trying to decide maybe if it's worth trying to start something or not. Hopefully I was able to demonstrate that it's worth trying, even if you don't know anything at all. Like I did, I wasn't even in business at all, and now it's all I do, and I really enjoy it. Anyways, so thanks for letting me speak to you guys.